I'm very happy to see you all here today. Thank you for dedicating your time. I expect to make it worth. So today we're gonna learn about storytelling, which I consider the art of telling engaging stories, and we're gonna do that focusing on business talks, but also considering everything else because I'm going to show you that you can apply storytelling for absolutely anything you want to, and not only for business talks. Well, what business talks? What storytelling is after all? Basically, storytelling means to tell stories in a very simple way. But it's been done forever. So what's new here? The importance of storytelling as a way of bringing knowledge and entertainment to people, that's the new thing. And that's not exactly new, but doing that in a conscious way so that you can reach objectives by doing that, it's the new thing. It also shows how strategic the technique can be for companies to create emotional bonds with customers, and that's super strategic, and not only a communication technique, which for me would be already something quite important enough, because communication and doing communication well is the first thing you need to reach objectives, being those personal or being those from your company or professional or whatever. Now that we understand what storytelling is, let me just tell you that I forgot to introduce myself. Uh, I am Adriana. I am Brazilian. I am marketing graduated, and I worked with product for more than 10 years now. But more than that, I really love what I do. Challenging myself to reach our clients' business goals every day, I really enjoy it. And more apart actually of my professional side, I spend my time patting my three little monsters. You see Chocolate here. This is Emily, and this is Godofredo. They are terrible, but I love them so much. I cannot, I don't have any idea of how many pair of shoes I lost since they came home. And they are together, and they are with us in the family for more than 10 years. These two are for 11 years, and this one, he came up with a house when we were building the house I live in right now. He introduced himself, put in his belly to the air and said, "Hello, I want to live here now," and here's with the family ever since. And besides petting them, I love spending all the time I have with my son. His name is Thomas. He's now 3 years and 7 months old. He's funny. He's delicious. I love him more than anything in the world. So I get emotional every time I talk about him. Well, guys, let me ask you something. Did you notice that I used images and the facts about myself to introduce myself? Instead of just saying, "Hello, my name is Adriana and I work at Avenue Code for 2 years from now." With that, I consciously meant to awake your empathy somehow. Like if you like dogs or kids, for example, or to awake your sense of identification for those who works with with product building, or even curiosity. Anyway, that's storytelling, pure and simple. That's the practical example that I wanted to share. You telling whatever story you want to with an objective you know well about. I know how to talk about myself, like presenting myself. That was my objective. Yes, Ronaldo, I know how to do that. I've learned a little bit about it, but I always do that with positive intentions. I promise you that. Uh, well, you can do that when you're presenting yourself or conducting a client meeting or presenting your point of view at a sprint planning, writing an email. You can do that with anything you need when you need to communicate an objective. It applies to every form of communication. And that's why storytelling is for everyone, not at all for extroverted, sorry, it's always hard for me to say this word, not only for extroverted people or communication related areas. It gets really, really easier once you understand that there are techniques to do so, that there are scripts that you can follow to help you structuring your messages. Please let me share a few storytelling tips I've learned over my journey, and I hope you enjoy it. Storytelling techniques ended up being widespread, and today they are widely being used in TED presentations, for example. When I first done this presentation, TED was something quite new, so you can imagine how long I study and I love storytelling. The models are used they are used in TED Talks. They are they are so mainly because TED presenters have very little time to speak and they need to make the best usage of it. So it turns out to be a great platform to learn about storytelling applied in practice. If you want to know more about storytelling techniques and how to be objective and cover everything you need within the topic you want to explore, TED is really a good place to do so. In this TED Talk, Susan Cain discusses in just 20 minutes her vision of why introverts should be celebrated and encouraged. If I were to talk about to that huge public why introverts should be celebrated, I don't know if I could do that in 20 minutes before I studied storytelling techniques. And I use this specific example because I know here in Avenue Code we love to talk about Susan Cain and everything she comes up, which is so brilliant and helps us so much in our daily work. So she made it 20 minutes to cover such a specific and dense topic. If she did, of course, we can all do. She's not special. She's just a human being like us. So, how do I do that? Do I need inspiration, like a sparkle of idea? That would be great, right? But if that's not the case, like it absolutely wasn't for me, you can use storytelling techniques just like a script. At first, it may seem a bit stiff, but but once you get the hang of it, you can add your own touch, humor, suspense, emotion, and of course, depending who you're talking to, we're going to talk about it a lot because this is super important, and everything will flow more naturally. I generally, just to share my personal experience with you, I generally use a little bit of humor, but it's just because I'm nervous, uh, generally. So that helps me. I love your dog, Sabrina. Generally, that helps me a lot to don't get stuck and frozen in front of you all. This is one of my techniques that I'm sharing with you. So I'm gonna tell you a few tips that helps me going through the way. Tip number one, you have to know your message and your audience. And I'm going to talk about it many times. I'm going to be repetitive about it because it is really important. What do you want to talk about? How much do you know about it? Uh, know as much as possible about what you need to communicate. That's a fact. That's something you really need to do. For example, if you're going to introduce yourself like I just did, you already have an advantage, right? You're expected to know yourself well, after all. To do this, ask yourself the following question. If my audience had to remember just one thing, what would it be? Once you know that, you know the key thing that you cannot go out of that meeting or you cannot finish the text to your writing without knowing that, without having that key element clear enough in everybody's mind. You will find the answer by thinking deeply about your goals and, of course, your audience's interest in them, because that's to them you're talking to, right? Now, who is your audience? Is it a new college class or a job selection? And by this example, I mean, do I need to be formal or can I be not formal in my language and the way I speak? Are you going to introduce yourself to your new girlfriend's or boyfriend's family? Or are you going to talk about yourself to the first time to a therapist, for example? And by that, I want you to ask yourself, how deep should you go into what you're talking about? Because that might be as important as the topic you're covering. Do I need to go just to the surface, or how deep do I go into that topic? And to know that answer, I need to know my message pretty well, and I need to know who I'm talking to pretty well. Let me give you an example situation. If you should sound super objective focused if you're having a quick C-level audience on the other side of the call, right? You need to be objective. You need to be fast. You need to be quick in every single message you're going to tell them, because they are C-level and they're always in a hurry. But maybe you can add a little color or more context or more info in the message you are sharing if you already have some intimacy with your audience and your message or time box is not that hard. The main message here is, don't fly blind. Build your talking strategy by previously knowing your audience. Do it consciously. Search for people's profile on LinkedIn or even in Instagram. It might seem a little awkward at the beginning, but you will find it very helpful after applying it to your daily work, like alignments, client meetings, board meetings. I always do that, like searching for the profile of the person I want to know more about on LinkedIn before I talk to anybody new at the current client I'm on. I know the client's profile. I know how they think and behavior, but people are different. I cannot assume they are the same. So the most I know about the person I am going to talk to, the better I can make my communication flows, the better I will connect to that person, and the better chance I have when sharing my message or trying to close an objective. Let me bring you another example. Bringing the team into the business world. Let's say you're talking to a client whose product is a stain remover. Go into this conversation with at least the right questions so that actually in the end you have a good understanding of what your client's product is and who their target audience is, for example. So, I mean, it's not just like knowing who you're talking to, but when you're talking to a client here in Avenue Code as a consultancy, we need to know our the end users actually of our clients. I am working with a client right now who their end users are market shoppers. They want to buy bananas and regular shop. And when doing that, what are they looking for? How they want to feel? How is the experience they want to have? And compared to the competitors, how's that supposed to feel? If I know that before I go to talk to the client, you can be pretty sure he's going to feel respected and heard and have his time also respected. And you're probably going to have a more receptive person in the other side. So know your audience. And in the end, you probably need to know their audience as well, their product, and what they need to do to have their pain and object solved. Getting you back to the example that we have at the screen right now, Vanish. We're talking about, let me find myself. We are talking about, I am reading, I don't know if you have noticed that. It's a secret of mine. You have to know so that you have the right questions. You have to understand, for this example, for Vanish example, you need to know if this product audience are mothers of children under 5, for example, or young adults who live alone. If you're building an app, knowing that probably is going to help you doing totally different approaches, at least when it comes to the UI and the UX, also to the price and to the comms. Do you agree that this is gonna also help you sell the product that we are developing very differently? So knowing the audience and knowing their end users is something that is really helpful when we are presenting any solution or talking to client at all times. Tip number 2, combine the message and the desired format. So right now, we are living in an age when nobody pays attention to messages that are too long anymore. And it's funny because too long right now, when we are living in TikTok age, it's like 30 seconds. So this is a huge challenge when we need to talk to people and make sure they are listening. This is why it makes so important to adapt your narrative to the right format and mitigate the chance that your story, email, presentation, propose, review, whatever, yeah, will sound generic or rehearsed, and thus strengthen your appeal to each different audience. You need to adapt it. You need to make sure it doesn't feel generic, and pay attention to the time you're taking from your audience so that you don't lose their attention. More than that, when you're writing or preparing yourself for audio formats, such like videos and presentations, pay special attention to the volume and tone of your voice. If you're I don't know if you have noticed that, but I am always trying to get my voice a little louder, or try to speak a little lower when I'm more calm, basically. But the intention of doing that is making sure that I don't use the same tone of voice all the time, or I'm gonna lose you. You're gonna be here just in the body, but your spirit will be gone. Also, pay attention to your facial expressions. Personally, I have a problem with that. And I really train myself hard because of that. Because when I hear something that disturbs me somehow, or something that I don't agree with, that the client brings or that a colleague says, my facial expression tells the people right now that what I'm feeling is like I make faces like that, and that's super weird and shouldn't be done. And you really need to pay attention to your facial expressions when you're talking to the client, or if you're at any special occasion, you need to represent on a specific objective there. Also, try to make eye contact whenever you can. Make sure that you're looking to the camera and not to the slide or to any other corner. I know this is not possible all the time, but when I try to make eye contact, even when I'm in a call like we are right now, it feels way better to whoever is in the other side, so that you don't feel like I'm talking to a robot. I'm talking to you. Uh, you can add hand gestures, especially if you are in a presential presentation. This is hard to say as well. So that's going to be super important. Then keep your hands in your pockets. Try to act more naturally as you can, but paying attention to your hands is also pretty important, and it's going to tell a lot about you, about how you're feeling and what you want to say. So that's also important. And make sure you have pauses in your speech and keep a rhythm that is not always the same as I was talking about the tone of voice. That's important so that you can keep your audience engaged. And you give them time also to digest I think that's the word, everything you're saying. So that's for reading or preparing for formats like audio and videos. But when I'm talking about writing texts, like business proposals, for example, I need to pay special attention to readability. This needs to be quite clear, no matter what the language you're using. Punctuation, voice and style, and rhythm of the story. It is super important to name punctuation because it feels, why would I recall something so simple as that in a presentation for you? But where your our clients choose right now? If you get a proposal in your hands from Avenue Code and it is written with a typo, that's gonna sound so bad, you know. Yes, absolutely, Ronaldo. Ronaldo, I totally agree. But it's super important to reinforce that because I almost have a heart attack when I see a typo in whatever communication we're having with our clients. We need to sound perfect when doing those kind of communications. Tip number 3, turn your message into a story. So that's where the magic happens, right? I know what I need to say. I have studied. I know who I'm going to telling that to. But how do I make it all become a story? The expected magic here is to transform the code characteristics of a product, like that stain remover we just saw, or a holiday order, if I'm bringing this to my current life from my clients, for example, into something incredible for your audience. After all, this is the key to storytelling. I need to tell them that the backend software I'm building is going to be incredible to them because this is going to solve all of their problems, or because this is going to make their business more profitable. Even when I'm selling a backend solution that might sound like, hey, how do I apply storytelling to something like that? Yes, you can, because someone is willing for that. Let's see a practical example here again. What do you see here at the screen? Just a red bottle of a cold soda, as tasty as any other, except for Guaraná, but I don't think you're ready for the conversation. Or B, do you see a Coke? I think everyone here see a Coke, even though that this is right now a brandless bottle. I know you still see a Coke. The stories you've been told about it, the Coke, during your life were always so involved, right? They made it, becoming the dream of every single brand, becoming synonymous of their product. I mean, nobody says, hey, please, can I have a black carbonated drink made out of a W's plant? Absolutely not. Not. You just say, please, can I have a Coke? Even if they come with a Pepsi, you're asking for a Coke, and everyone know what kind of drink you're asking for. And they only got it because they made their messages into good stories. No product, service, board meeting, or whatever in the world is strong enough to reach the status quo without a good storytelling. So turning your message into a story is really important. And calm down, we will get there. I'll show you how to. So what we need to make sure is that we need to wake your audience's need. Make them think, how could I have lived without it until now? Or this company is fantastic and I want to know more about it. Or generate empathy, sympathy, affection, victory, but positive feelings. That's what you need to do when you're telling a story. Oops, sorry. And I tell you something, you can do that with absolutely anything if you find that key elements that makes your audience's eyes line up, which leads us to tip number 4. Uh, Finding the element that make your audience's eyes sparkle. Look at this cute image right now in your screen if you're not paying attention to it right now. But the most powerful the most powerful stories use emotion to connect with us on a human level. If you're selling a hearing aid, don't even waste time making huge narratives. Just show the image of a baby hearing for the first time, his mom's voice, thanks to your product. Of course, this is not obvious as the scene in this video, which honestly made me cry when I watched it. It is not obvious and easy for us to do the same with our business, but let's bring it to our daily lives. How do you apply storytelling in a meeting where you're going to present a new idea and you need to convince your audience that it should be adopted? That's a good one, right? We it happens to us all the time. If not in a specific meeting to get that, but in a daily, at the review, we need to do that all the time to convince people about our ideas. The first thing you need, as we saw so far, is to know your message. And right now, the message you have to know about is a new process idea, for example. And your audience, let's say that your audience right now is a board of directors. Okay, you already know that you need to adapt your speech to the presentation format to be spoken in a meeting. So you know what you're going to talk about, you know who you're talking about, and you're adapting the message to a presentation format. Now it's time to turn that message into a story, a business story. First thing you need to do is start by presenting the problem. Remember, we are talking to the board, okay? So if I know I'm talking to the board, I know what they want to hear. I know what sparkle those people's eyes. Cost is diminishing. That's what they want to hear. Or I want to make things faster. I want to make things at the same time but cheaper. That's what I want to hear, right? So I know that. And I know that the problem I'm talking about is that process enhancement. So what am I going to do when presenting that to that in that meeting? I will start presenting the problem I want to solve and how it currently impacts the company. That way, I can attack what the board cares most about, the cost in this specific case. I'm going to tell them that I have seen a possible solution showing them the pros of this idea I came up with according to the profile of those who will be at the meeting. This way, everyone will feel more compelled to adopt it than if you just presented your idea in a generic way. So know your message, know your audience, adapt it into the format, which is the presentation, put it all together in a way that the people who's there feel heard and embraced. I am not bringing a generic message. I'm customizing it to the audience I'm speaking to. Other examples related to that, uh, and that I can apply if I identify that key elements that's going to make my audience's eyes shine. Do I have a timeless audience? So please be objective and make sure you attend their need. Is your audience stubborn? Have you ever, someone here ever found a stubborn audience? I think everyone did, right? Guide them through your rational plan and make them feel as they have got to that certain conclusion, which is your goal, by themselves. Where's Ronaldo now? I know this is a kind of manipulation, but this is a positive one. Okay, you're trying to convince them of something that is good for the business. Let's always use that for the good. Have to convince your audience of something. Tell the pros and the cons of your idea according to your audience profile, how they would like to hear it. And never, ever, don't ever tell lies. Like, By buying a software or a solution with us in every new code, you will have a forever bugless software. We know that's a lie. So let's not ever do anything similar to that. We need to always show respect by our customers or whoever we're talking to by understanding that they also are paying attention to everything we're saying. Okay. Tip number 5, highlight your bets. What it means. Readers and listeners becomes interested in the action and the characteristics in the story, right? They start to root for the protagonist, wanting him to overcome obstacles that threaten him. Well, focusing on the stakes surrounding the brand story can also help you develop and promote your unique selling proposition, emphasizing the problem your customers have and how you've created a new and better solution. By that, I mean, show the expected scenario with your idea implemented. Tell them, hey, we understand your problem. We understand the pain you're going through in your business, in your product, and we know how to solve it. We know how to do it by this, this, and that, and highlight that. Show them, hey, I have bets, and I do believe in them, and I'm going to highlight those to you. Everything becomes more, you create a better bond with the client if you let them understand that you studied the problem, you know how to solve it, and they are going to look at you like a hero, or at least they should, because that's what we do here every day. We are heroes doing what we do, right? So I am going to win all this, beat all these obstacles, and get in the end with a done software or with a done solution for you. So showing ourselves as heroes, as we truly are in a business way, of course, is something that we really should do. And it's part of the storytelling. People loves heroes. And it leads me to tip number 6, which is to do all of what we've been talking about so far, putting it all together in an easy and comprehensive way. The easier thing you can do is follow a classic pattern. Storytelling can be easily applied by following a classic pattern. And if you go to Google and search for that, storytelling techniques, you're going to find a lot of them, like the mission, the personal triumph, and my favorite one, the hero's journey. That is the best one. It applies to absolutely everything, and I'm going to prove you. I'm gonna share a video with you right now, and I am so sorry that I couldn't find it in English or with subtitles in English. I tried everything a PO can, but I couldn't. So it's gonna be in Portuguese, but I'm gonna explain everyone what is it saying in English right away. Okay. I'm gonna mute myself. Please send me a thumbs up if you can hear the audio once I put it to play. Okay. Of course, it isn't playing right now. It worked perfectly fine in every single test I did. Oh, there it is.
E se eu te disser que Frodo, Harry Potter e até Hércules aplicam a mesma receita para encantar o mundo com suas histórias? E que você pode usar a mesma estratégia para cativar todos à sua volta e mudar a maneira como vê o mundo? Bem, essa receita é a Jornada do Herói, escrita por Joseph Campbell em 1949 no livro O Herói de Mil Faces. O segredo está em uma fórmula única, contada repetidamente em diversas culturas, onde o herói passa por uma sequência de passos que promovem o seu desenvolvimento e retorna ao lar com uma recompensa. O primeiro passo acontece no mundo comum, onde o protagonista vive sua vida pacata. Usando a história do Senhor dos Anéis como exemplo, essa é a fase em que Frodo vive no condado. O segundo é o chamado para a aventura, representado pela convocação de Frodo para levar o anel até a sua destruição. A terceira etapa é o encontro com o mentor, personagem responsável por guiar e preparar o herói. Na trilogia, o papel é ocupado pelo mago Gandalf. A quarta etapa é composta por testes e provações, quando o herói atravessa percalços e define quem são seus amigos e inimigos, representado nos desafios em que Frodo enfrenta até chegar a Mordor, com o apoio da comitiva do Anel e a oposição dos orcs. O quinto passo é o desafio final, onde o herói enfrenta seu grande inimigo. No caso de Frodo, é a entrada em Mordor e a luta contra a cobiça gerada nele pelo Anel. A sexta etapa é a recompensa, que pode ser um tesouro, reconhecimento ou poder. Para Frodo, isso está representado na salvação da Terra-média. O sétimo passo é o retorno para casa, claramente representado no Senhor dos Anéis pelo resgate de Frodo e Sam quando as águias os retiram dos rios de lava de Mordor. Oitava e última etapa, a vida nova, quando o herói retorna para sua vida comum, porém com uma nova visão do mundo, representado por Frodo escrevendo suas memórias de volta ao condado. O mais impressionante é que a jornada do herói é espelhada nas dificuldades que qualquer ser humano enfrenta ao longo de sua vida. O que cativa é a bravura com que ele sobrepõe seus medos e busca os tesouros que almeja. E você, qual o desafio que te espera? Convidar aquela pessoa que gosta para sair? Abrir aquele negócio que sempre sonhou? Aprender aquele instrumento que tanto gosta? Pense nos seus desafios como jornadas do herói. Assim você conquistará mais e mais recompensas e terá histórias dignas de um deus grego para contar. Se gostou do conteúdo, por favor, dê um like e inscreva-se no canal. Assim estaremos mais motivados de...
So, hopefully somebody understood. It was in Portuguese, but I'm gonna tell you in English right now what it meant.
mais...
So,
E se eu te disser que
that's
Frodo,
what it
Harry
comes
Potter e
when you
até
get
Hércules se aplicam à mesma...
old. Sorry, there it is. So basically, the video illustrated the hero's journey, which was written by Joseph Campbell in 1949 in the book "The Hero with a Thousand Faces," that explained us the formula or a script, which I prefer to look like, the hero's journey one, and applying this formula to the Lord of the Rings, we have stage 1, regular life, where Frodo lives peacefully in the county. Then we go to stage 2, the adventure call, represented by Frodo summons to carry the ring to its destruction. Then we go to stage 3, which is meeting the ally, meeting the metro who will guide the hero through his journey. At our trilogy, this is Gandalf. At stage 4, tasks and ordeals, when the hero needs to understand and define who are their friends, the ring encourage, and the enemies, the orcs opposition. Stage 5 is the final challenge. In our example, that's Frodo going into Mordor to fight the greed created by the ring. And stage 6 is the reward. Frodo going back to Middle-earth. And then we have stage 7, which is the return, where Frodo is being saved when the eagles put him out to the Lava Mordor River. And stage 8, and final one, is the new life, when the hero returns to ordinary life, but with a new vision of the world. And I can show you that this fits to anything you need to communicate. Let's get back to the example we just saw together when you need to go in a meeting and present to your board directors, to your directors board, a process enhancement that you saw that is now costing more than it should, and that you got an idea to make it better. Let's get this back, okay? Let's go through this very example, but using the hero's journey together. Stage 1. Where does stage 1 stands for that example? The regular life is you and your company with a process problem. Then in stage 2, you decide you are going to do something about it. That's your adventure call. You start working on a presentation to show the stakeholders a solution idea that you came up with. Then you go to stage 3, meeting the ally. And the ally in this case is this very framework, the hero's journey. And when putting your presentation together, you're going to put a presentation together and also make sure you apply the previous, what time is it? Okay. The previous tips we saw together so far. So we're going to use this step by step of the hero's journey as a script, but also remember the tips we saw before. Know your message, and so on. Step 4, tasks and ordeals. It's the presentation day comes, and your audience is out of time. You find a problem. You go to stage 5, which is the challenge. You need to present your idea in 30 minutes instead of 16. You go then to step 6. But that's not a problem because you studied your audience before, as well as you know your message very well, so that you make it. Because you didn't fly blind. You didn't fly blind. You knew what you had to do and you did it. Then you're able to move to stage 7, when you return to your desk or your laptop or whatever with your idea partially approved but pretty enhanced by the discussion with that group, which is a huge victory, right? You move to stage 8, which is a new life, when you get back to your ordinary life, but with a new vision of the entire process. The one you're changing right now after getting the approval, and the way you present your ideas after understanding how storytelling can help you with, and how storytelling can make your presentations and the way you express yourself be a step ahead, be way better than you used to be before knowing that. We saw so much together that I think is the best way to move forward is just sharing with you key messages, so that those are the things that I would like you to come up with after our time together. In short, the beginning of any well-told story is to know it well and work on it so that it makes as much sense as possible to those who are going to hear it. And more than that it convinces those who hear it as much as it can, that it enchants the person or awakes a demand. Uh, I hate you, Ronaldo. Key takeaway 1: use audiovisual tools to your advantage. Know your message, know your audience, combine the desired message and format, turn the message into a story. To do that, make sure you have clear as crystal the eye-catching element of your audience. And when you do that, highlight your bets. Make sure you make your message pretty clear. What you're good at. What in that story is that makes me a hero? And to do all of that, follow a pattern to structure your idea, your presentation, your text, so that you don't waste too much time by building the process. Hopefully, it was worth of your time. That's what I had to share with you. And right now, I think we can open to questions.
Does anyone have any questions? So when Adriana was playing the video and they use like Hercules as an example, and I was playing the story in my head and also follows the same steps, like the hero, the journey, they found a mentor, and like seems like most successful movies follow this example. It's working for how many years? Why shouldn't it be working now? So it's really good for us to start applying these in our day-to-day activities. Thank you so much, Adriana, for that.
Thank you.
All right.
I must put that I loved your presentation, but I couldn't hold myself with my remarks.
I love it. Please always do that.
All right. So
Thank you all, guys.
Thank you so much. If anybody doesn't have any questions, I'm gonna post the link here for the presence list one more time. Please acknowledge your presence on the link and also give us some feedback so we can improve our next. Oh, Sabrina has a question. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Yeah. I'd like to know, Dri, if you had some suggestions on more extra materials, books, videos that I could watch to improve this knowledge and get the most out of next presentations that I may make using those tips.
I'll try to come up with a material. I don't think I'm gonna make it today, but until tomorrow, I think I can, and I'm gonna share at the hub.
Yes,
I think
that's a
that would
good
be the
point.
right place, right?
Yeah. We can post an SC Hub so everyone can have access.
Great.
Okay. All right. So one more time, everyone, presence list. Do not forget about it. Don't forget about giving your feedback so we can improve our Agile week. And feel free to continue the discussion on AC Hub or reach out for Adriana if there's anything you'd like to discuss. And thank you for your presence.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Bye bye.